Jack Smith's team, which investigated Trump's handling of classified documents along with his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results, have now been fired by the Justice Department. In a statement to NBC News, a Justice Department official said, quote, "The acting attorney general does not trust these officials to assist in faithfully implementing the president's agenda. This action is consistent with the mission of ending the weaponization of government." Meanwhile, the acting U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C. is launching an internal review of the department's Capitol riot prosecutions. Ed Martin made the announcement in an email to Justice Department colleagues. Before he joined the Trump administration, Martin was a Stop the Steal advocate who spread conspiracy theories about the attack on the Capitol and represented at least 3 January 6 defendants. Martin also spoke at the Capitol on January 5th and was on the grounds during the riot itself. He was tweeting. As the mob was breaching the building, Martin tweeted, "Like Mardi Gras in D.C. today. Love, faith, and joy. Ignore hashtag fake news." Joining us now, we have former FBI Assistant Director and former Legislative Counsel of the Department of Justice, Greg Brower. What is your take, Greg, on these latest moves?
Well, I guess I would say, Mika, first of all, they're unprecedented. That may be the simplest observation to make. Both the DOJ moves and the Inspector General firings are things that we've not seen before. With respect to the DOJ firings, these seem to be career-positioned people who do have certain rights and will likely appeal their dismissals. And so we are used to, as you know, a new administration coming in and changing all of the political appointees, both presidential appointees and those serving at that layer or two below them. But we've never seen anything like this. And we certainly haven't seen anything like this with respect to the IGs. So what I'm watching is the congressional reaction with respect to the IGs in particular. The IGs work for Congress. Senator Grassley and others have been big champions of the IG community. It's important that we have a robust IG corps. And so I suspect this is going to raise a lot of attention in Congress on both sides of the aisle. And that's what I'm looking for next.
So you mentioned the IG firings. In a questionable legal move on Friday, President Trump fired multiple independent inspectors general from the Defense, State, Labor, and Health and Human Services departments, among others. Now, Trump defended his actions Saturday, saying, quote, "I did it because it's a very common thing to do. I don't know them, but some people thought that some were unfair or were not doing the job." Despite that explanation, the legal justification stands on shaky ground. A law passed in Congress in 2022 requires a 30-day notification from the White House to Congress should they choose to let go of an inspector general. The White House must also give Congress substantive reasoning for the firing. Greg, you yourself were an inspector general for the U.S. Government Publishing Office from 2004 to 2007, and I'm curious your reaction to this news.
Well, as I said earlier, this really is unprecedented. It is, to be clear, the president's prerogative to remove IGs that he or a predecessor appointed. But as you point out, Mika, there is a 2022 law on the books that requires, in such situations, that notice and a reason be given by the president to Congress. That did not happen here. So, again, it will be very interesting to see what Senator Grassley and others in the Congress, and in fact, there is now an IG caucus in the Congress, bipartisan group of members who recognize the value of the IG community and have expressed a desire to support the IGs. It will be interesting to see how they respond to this. But it is not a normal thing to replace IGs like that. Certainly, no one would argue that the IGs have jobs for life. And again, the president does have the prerogative to replace them when appropriate. But this is unusual, and I'm looking to Senator Grassley and others to respond and to ensure that we do have an independent, robust, nonpartisan IG corps working to help Congress with its oversight responsibilities.
Hi, Greg. It's Molly Jong-Fast. It's not just unusual. It's sort of beyond any scope in modern presidential history. Can you say more about that? And also, can you speak to who wasn't fired?
Well, I frankly had expected that President Trump, upon stepping in for a second term, may just fire all of the IGs that he did not appoint. And again, it would be his prerogative with due notice and explanation to Congress. But the group that we saw fired the other night didn't really fit that description. I believe a majority of them were actually appointed by President Trump previously. So to your point, Molly, yes, this is not the way transitions have normally worked. And although the president does have the prerogative to do so, these IGs serve arguably at the pleasure of the president. But again, it's a little different than most appointees who serve at the pleasure because of this 2022 law. But I really think it's up to Congress to react to this and to decide just how robust and how effective and how independent they want the IG Corps to be. Again, after all, the IGs work for Congress in doing oversight of the executive branch. And if Congress doesn't want them to be independent, well-funded, and effective, I guess that's Congress's prerogative. But that would be a major departure from the past.
Former FBI Assistant Director and former Legislative Counsel at the Justice Department, Greg